How's it going, everyone? Back for another adventure. Today I am heading up to Michigan, near Ann Arbor, for a bike packing trip. So today's actually Thursday, but over the weekend there's an event up there called Meet Me in Manchester. It is a alt cycling event, you could call it, which is just alternative to what you would think about when you hear the word cycling. You know, so less kids and lycra and road bikes, more just hanging out, having fun, riding bikes. I'm heading up today because it's about a 5.5 hour drive, and we are meeting tomorrow, which is Friday, in Ann Arbor at one of the local bike shops. We're all meeting up and then gonna ride. It's about 30 miles out to the site, set up our camping stuff. So we'll have everything on the bikes. That's the bike packing part. Set up camp. And then Saturday, there's a bunch of route options, I think 4 or 5 different options. I'll be doing the 50 miler. They call it the greatest hits. So should see all the cool stuff. I think there's some swimming spots, some good eats, all that kind of thing. But I think it's 90% off-road from what I heard. So it's mostly gravel, single track, double track, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited for it. We'll come back to the same campsite, camp again, and Sunday morning get up and ride back to Ann Arbor, where I'll get the car and come home. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a really good time. I haven't done a lot of gravel riding or off-road riding outside of BMX when I was younger, so I'm really excited to give this a shot. This is my first like bike packing trip in this sense. As you know, I've done a lot of backpacking, where everything I need fits in a backpack, go out and hike for days at a time, no problem. The approach is a little bit different for bike packing, not so different. You can actually hold more stuff, but I don't know. I'm just curious to see how different it actually is. You still have to consider the weight. The bike needs to be able to carry you and the weight of all your gear. So you have to be, you know, conscious of that. Luckily, a lot of the gear that I use for backpacking will work for bike packing, so that's pretty cool. I'll do a video later of the whole camping setup and all that, but not a whole lot of new gear since you saw me do the Knobstone Trail. So yeah, tonight I'm actually getting there a day early, so I got a space reserved at the Green Lake campground in Waterloo State Recreation Area. It's a mouthful, but it is a POTA site. So I'm going to set up. I got a couple radios with me, and I'm going to activate well into the evening. I'm really looking forward to it. Kind of sticking with my goals here. I only brought CW radios, so I have my Mountain Topper 3B, which is just, it'll work. I love that radio, one of my favorites. But I also brought a Venus SW3B. That's the one I'm going to start with because I haven't tried it yet. I'm interested in it because, one, they still make it. So if it works well, then that'll be a great backpacking radio, because if it does get damaged, I can replace it. Unlike my Mountain Topper 3B, the LCD model, which is the one I have, you can't find them anywhere. I just very much lucked into this one. So I'm a little more protective of that one, and I don't necessarily want to take it bikepacking or backpacking. To clarify, I will be leaving my radios in the car after tonight, so they're not going with me on the bike. That's because where we're camping is not a POTA site, and I'm also just trying to save weight, so I won't be taking any radios with me out there. I might take an HT, but not my Mountain Topper. So hopefully the Venus works well. I'm sure it will. I've seen lots of good reviews of it, but I like it because on 12 volts it'll do a full 5 watts, maybe a couple more. I think it's just 5. And with the Mountain Topper, I only use a 9-volt battery, so I think it's like 2 or 3 watts output. I could be wrong about those numbers, but it's definitely not a full 5. So I think with the Venus, I'm going to be really getting out, which will be nice. I'm at a lake. I don't know what the elevation will be. I have activated Michigan before, but that was in the Upper Peninsula, so I haven't actually activated the lower hand, whatever it is, yet. So that'll be pretty cool. For antennas, I brought my Sodabeam Spanhopper 3. It does 20, 30, 40, which is the exact same frequencies that both the Mountain Topper and the Venus use, so it's just perfect. I do have an antenna backup just in case something goes wrong, but I think everything's gonna work out great. You can see behind me here, I got my bike strapped in. I'm actually borrowing my parents' van, 2003 Town and Country, because my truck needs some love, and I just don't have the time right now to get to it. But it still drives, but it's really nice to have everything enclosed. That's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to use the van. And they were gracious enough to let me use it. In my truck, everything goes in the bed, and I have to figure out how to secure it when I'm not there. I like this because I can just lock the doors and the whole thing's, you know, secure as a car can be. But yeah, everything's going well. I know that there's at least one other person going on this trip who is a YouTuber. He focuses on photography and bicycle content, so no ham radio in there. But maybe after this week he'll convert, we'll see. I'm sure I'll at least talk about it some. But I am almost to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then I think I have another 2 hours or so after that. So I'm gonna keep plodding along, and I will see you shortly. So I'm driving along here, and I am seeing, I think it's just smoke. There's some wildfires in I don't think in this area, they're somewhere in the country. I don't know if they're up in Michigan or if this is all from out west. I know Utah has some going on right now, but you're probably, I don't know how the camera's gonna pick this up, but let's see. Usually you can see forever up here, see for miles as far as the horizon will let you, with trees and everything. And I feel like it's super foggy, but I think it's smoke. I mean, it is extremely humid today. I think it's 91 with a really high humidity. At least it was down in Bloomington. So that could be part of it, but the smoke is just lingering, I think, because of that. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. All I know is it is smoky. So I wonder how that's going to be to go and ride 3 days outside on a bicycle in all this smoke. It's fine. I smoked for 4 years in the military, but it's been like 15 plus years since then. So I guess my lungs are due for another good wash of smoke. Okay, here's a good view. I don't know if you can see that. I guess I'll know when I'm editing this. There. Just crazy, crazy amounts of smoke. I guess I should check my email. I don't know if I don't think they'd cancel this event for smoke, but maybe, who knows? Oh well. All right, y'all, just arrived in Chelsea, Michigan. I'm very close to my campsite. I don't know if you can tell through the camera. If everything looks a little foggy, that's because it is. Well, it's not fog, it's smoke. So apparently there's some crazy wildfires going on over in Minnesota. And there is a ton of smoke drifting across the lake into Michigan. I just looked it up, and there's a extreme health hazard right now throughout Michigan, and it gets worse the further north you go. I do see people outside, but a lot of people are wearing masks. So yeah, I'm heading to the campsite. I'm gonna see how it feels, but I have 2 more nights of camping after tonight. Now fortunately it is supposed to clear up tomorrow evening. So by the time I set up camp tomorrow night, hopefully the air quality will have improved and it won't be as bad. They've already canceled the ride from Ann Arbor to the campsite. It's 30 miles, but it's supposed to be really bad air quality tomorrow still. So I'm not surprised. There is another option where we'll park in, I think, Aberdeen, and it's a 12-mile ride to the campsite. So Not as cool, but still riding bikes, still hanging out, so all the good stuff. They're pushing through and still doing the event on Saturday and Sunday. Well, Saturday, and then we go home Sunday, which will just be a 12-mile ride back to Aberdeen. But at least it's still happening. Man, this town is really cute. Check that thing out. You can see the smoke real bad though in the distance there. But yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna head to the campsite, get set up, and probably go ahead and activate. But if it's super bad, if I get out of the car and like I can already feel it in the back of my throat, and I've coughed a couple times already, and I have been inside the car with the recycled air this whole time, so I don't think it's great out there. Fortunately, I have done enough travel for work that I do have a free room available through Hilton, and there's a Hampton Inn run by Hilton in Chelsea, which is where I'm at. So that's my backup plan. I can just use that and then not have to pay for a hotel room. I already have it comped. I was hoping to save that for something more fun, but you know, this is a health concern, so I think it's a good time to use it. We'll see. If I feel fine, then I could sleep in the van too. Not that the air is any better in here, but it is an option. But I still want to activate, at least, if only to test how everything feels out there. So I'm about 9 minutes away, so I'm gonna head there and I'll see you when we get there. So much smoke in the air. This is crazy. Well, this doesn't bode well. Look at all them flies. I don't even know what these are. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm at the campsite. It's bad. There's smoke everywhere. I'd been smelling it a little bit for the last couple hours, and as soon as I stepped out of the car, it was like, bam, hit me right in the face. So I've made the decision to go ahead and stay at the hotel tonight. I already booked it. It's just is what it is, but I'm gonna try to pan you around here to show you. You can see all that haze through there. That's all smoke, and I can already feel it in the back of my throat and in my lungs. So since I'm camping the next 2 nights, I don't necessarily need to be here tonight. Would have been cool to do POTA, you know, late into the evening, but you know, why risk it? Live to POTA another day. But while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and set up and at least activate, try to get on the air. I'm gonna set up the Venus SW3B, see how that does. So let's get started. Well, you probably saw that. That sucked. My mast broke. So I had 2 ends tight, and I thought they were holding it, but I didn't think there was enough slack for it to fall in the other direction. So I went to do one final adjustment, which is always the one that gets you. And the mast fell that way, and it snapped off the top 2 sections. It's a bummer. Fortunately, I had a carabiner in my pocket. I was able to clip that on, and then the size of it slipped right over the remaining section pretty tight. So ironically, the length that's left was the exact size I needed to make it work. So I'm bummed out, but I'm not going to let it stop me from activating today. Tools that are used in the field are going to get used in the field, and there's consequences that come with that. So lessons learned. Make sure 2 points are extremely secure before going to secure the 3rd point. I thought I'd done that. I've done this exact setup dozens of times, but you know, there's always one. Luckily, it was my more expensive mast, right? Oh well, it's still usable clearly, and this is actually the height that it was going to be at anyway, because the way it's designed, it would slide down, the center point of the antenna would slide down to here. So I guess I'm missing this much height. It's like 1 section. So it's still usable in the future, but I don't have the very tip of it anymore. Oh well, it happens. Let's move on. Okay. Got 2 kits with me today. One is my Mountain Topper 3B. The other is my Venus SW3B. They both have a key in them, but the one in here is not nearly as good as this key, so I'm gonna use this one. Shouldn't need anything else out of here. In here I have battery, headphones, which I'm not going to use so you can hear what's going on. I brought a speaker here. Whew, the smoke. This is the little key I have. It's good for backup, but I haven't used it a lot, and it's not my favorite feel. Got a pin. Okay, need the antenna. Let's plug that into antenna port. Boom. Turn the speaker on. Hopefully there's enough battery. We'll put that in the phone area here. Power. This is just an RC car battery. Yeah, should work for days. Okay, there's that. This is for the key. Oh wait, this key has its own plug, which I'm not a huge fan of. That's my one complaint with this key, is that it doesn't just have a plug-in for your own cable. It comes with its own. I don't know. I just don't like transporting the cables plugged in. Okay. I'm set to 20 meters. Okay, let's see. It's pretty loud. All right, for some reason, I'm hearing nothing on the Venus. So it's either that I'm not getting out, or there's nobody there to hear me, or I have the radio configured incorrectly, because this is the first time I've used it. So we're going to diagnose and go with a known quantity here. I know this radio works. I've used it, so we will try to activate with this. If I'm getting nowhere with this, then I just know that nobody's out, and that's okay. Fortunately, this is much lower power, but it is a mountain topper, which speaks for itself. Nine volts of power, baby. 9 volts of raw, untamed power. Okay, I'll put this here. Here we go. I'm gonna go back down to the frequency I was at. Oh, I do want my estigarometer. One to one. All right, let's try it again. Whew, all right, so something's going on. That was rough, man. All right, so here's the lowdown. Well, one, it's smoky as all get out. Definitely feeling it. I feel like my lymph nodes are swollen a little bit. I don't know if that's true or if it's just the smoke or what, but that's that. Bugs are crazy up here. All that I can deal with, but I just wasn't getting out. So I was there for 2 hours, a little over 2 hours in total. So not totally 2 hours worth of calling CQ, but a fair bit of that was calling CQ, and I didn't get anybody. I thought maybe for a second there was somebody, but I think they were in a conversation off band. I was on 20 meters with the Sodabeam Spanhopper 3, and then I went to set up my LNR Precision's 20, 30, 40 antenna, and it snapped. So put it up in the tree, had it going across. I was using my what's left of my now broken mast to hold up the feed point, and then the whole thing comes down, and I look at the other end, and the wire broke. Now I don't know how old that antenna is. I got it used, so maybe it was inevitable, but either way, my mast and my antenna broke in one trip, in one outing, and I didn't make a single contact. So I guess sometimes you just get that. But yeah, so I went back to the Sodabeam Spanhopper 3, connected to 40, called for a bit, and then still no answer. So I tried the Venus, I tried the Mountain Topper, nothing. So with the smoke especially, I'm calling it for the night. It's gonna be most of the day tomorrow before we meet up to ride out to camp, because I think there's still gonna be a group of us to do that. I don't know if it'll be from Ann Arbor or from Aberdeen, but either way, I'll have most of the day. Air quality is not gonna be much better, but I think I'll get a mask if I can find an N95 somewhere. And I'm gonna give it a go tomorrow again. Sodabeam's Spanhopper is still rocking. I can still use that tomorrow. I'm just gonna try to find a different spot in this state recreation area. It's huge, so I'm gonna look at the map tonight and try to find a place with some better elevation, and just give it a go. Could be time of day too. I mean, on 40 meters, that's more regional contacts, and it maybe it's just late late enough in the day on a Thursday that people didn't want to respond, or maybe they were trying and I just didn't hear them. Who knows? Either way, it didn't work out. It's not the end of the world. I still got to be in the woods for a little bit, me and all the bugs. We bonded, it was lovely. And now I'm gonna head into Chelsea here and find my hotel. Sorry there wasn't any more action than that, but that's just how it goes sometimes. We'll see what we can get into further down the trail. I'll see you in a bit.